What's up, man? Welcome to Go Talk TV, man.
Thank you.
Man, appreciate you for coming. All right, so introduce yourself. Who do we have on the couch with us today?
I'm Jeffrey Troy Martin.
Okay, Jeffrey Troy Martin.
But I should go by Troy.
Troy.
Yeah.
Troy. Okay, man. Troy, we are going to start from the beginning, man. We are going to start from the beginning.
All right.
Okay, where are you from?
So, kind of easier to ask than really answer, but I was born in Corpus Christi, Texas.
Okay.
Military base. My dad was in the Navy for 20 years. So, growing up, I moved around a lot. Kind of settled down when I was in my, teenage years. But let me, digress back to the answer. I was born in Texas, but was really raised in Southern California. That's mainly where I kind of did a lot of my growing up. We moved from Texas, was there till I was 2, then moved up somewhere north in Washington State, somewhere up there, don't know where, somewhere up there on base. Okay. Stayed there for another few years, I think 2 or 3, then moved down to a city called Riverside, California, and then kind of bounced around to a city called Temecula, then Hemet, and that's where I kind of grew
And
up.
all that was still in California, those last couple places?
Temecula, Hemet, that's all.
Okay, because those places I've never heard of.
Yeah,
okay.
They're little lesser known cities. If you're from Southern California, you'll probably know at least Riverside and Temecula. Hemet, probably not really not known, but that's where I did most of my growing up, was in Hemet.
Okay, so growing up, did you have a mom, dad, grandma? Who raised you, man?
Definitely both parents.
Okay, that's dope.
Stay together, still are together.
Okay, that's dope.
Doing their thing. Had 3 older sisters, and mom, dad, like I already said, was in the military, so he would be on deployment sometimes when I was growing up. So it'd be like 6-month spans, I believe. Or it might have just been like 2 to 3, and it added up to 6 months. But there's, month spans where the only contact would be, through a satellite phone call when he would wait line type thing. You'd get like a few hours to talk.
Wow.
And then you have to go up. And so there's moments like that where it was more my mom and my sister were kind of just who I was, being raised with. When my dad was around, he made damn sure to make up for the time when he was off.
Yeah. But she was holding it down.
Yeah, while he was, doing his thing.
And you were only boy.
Only boy, yeah.
Only boy, and the youngest. Yes. Okay, all right, we're going to break that down. All right. Okay, people that I've had on the couch, they have different upbringing. Some, both parents, one parent, no parent, foster home, 10 siblings, some all, So, all right, so first, I want to get your opinion on what would you say the advantages were, or the good part of having both parents to come to in a household. Basically, I know your father was doing the thing, but he still made that presence known.
He wasn't like a no-show dad.
How would you say that was to have both parents come?
It was nice because my parents are very different in their own ways.
Okay, break that down.
Yeah, I was about to say, if you ever met my dad, Mike, he's a very easygoing, fun-loving,
chill,
and just really goofy, laid back. Yeah. And don't get me wrong, my mom can do that too. Yeah. But she's very much business first, business oriented. So when it comes to solving certain problems, things he would focus on are different than things she would focus on. And my dad, when growing up, he was the laid back dude you didn't want to piss off. He was the sleeping giant type thing. And my mom was more the steady, constant enforcer, where it was like, listen, just do what I say. Do what I say. All right, you guys don't want to listen? Here's your dad. Okay. That's kind of how things, as I remember, we're growing up, is my mom was the one that would, like you said, held down the fort. But if we wouldn't listen, my dad was the one that back. Grab the closest thing. Yacht's getting whooped, and that was just
okay.
And that's kind of how I was. That's how I remember it.
Hey, that sounds pretty normal. Like a lot of okay, all right.
But also when it came to, just like life decisions and stuff like that, like I said, my dad has more of the live life, kind of be happy, enjoy the moment type thing. Okay. My mom likes to, think things out, lay things out. And
goal-oriented, come up with a plan.
Yeah, make sure it's a good plan.
Come up with a plan B just in case this don't work.
Exactly, where my dad's more like, nah, dude, fuck. It's gonna work out,
Just put your all in it. Just go. If you learn it, go for it.
big thing we always, hard work pays off. That was a big thing he was always into. You know, you put in the effort, eventually at some point it's gonna pay off. It's just a matter of when type thing.
Bro, that's to me, both perspectives is both dope because you need both perspectives.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You do need a goal, you do need a plan, but sometimes you don't want to overthink it. Sometimes you just like sometimes you gotta go, man. Yeah. You gotta be the first one to believe in yourself. Cool, be the first one to believe in yourself. As long as you believe in yourself, it all pay out. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So being also the youngest and only boy, how was that? Because you know, there was times Pops had to go do his military thing, you know. So you got moms and were your sisters in the house with you, or
always in the house.
Okay, all right. So how was that?
He was out in Iraq.
Somalia.
He definitely wasn't bringing my sisters out to Somalia, saying, "All right, this is what I do for a living."
Okay. So really, wasn't no just calling him for petty, so like, oh, she took my this and he broke this.
No, that was if that was happening, she was handling it. You know, my mom was handling. Thankfully, like I don't doubt that I did misbehave, but when I did finally get to the point of misbehaving, my dad was finally out of the military. But when I was younger and a baby, and he was in the military, there's a lot of my sisters fighting each other, and I just kind of cruised through that part because they were too busy, you know, fighting each other, and I was just kind of to myself. They fought over Barbies, makeup,
stuff you didn't even care about anyway.
I was playing my little video games. They were fighting over whatever the fuck they fought over that week or that day, you know. So it wasn't a concern of mine, and I just kind of went through.
Now you said misbehaving. What would you say? What were you doing to misbehave? We all had different things to misbehave. Yeah. What were you doing, bro? What would you get into?
Like growing up, like I said, I actually didn't do too much until about middle school, puberty. You know, hormones, that stuff.
The
worst I did was sneak out to go sleep with my girlfriend at the time. I did it quite a few times.
You ain't never. Steal the keys to the whip?
No, bro. I didn't actually learn to drive until like high school after graduating. It just was never anything I had time to do. With like football and stuff and all the shit I was doing growing up, it was never something I had time to sneak in and do. And it was just finally when that all died down, and I was, waiting for colleges to get back or whatever. He was like, all right, well, you need to learn to drive. So I just learned to drive eventually.
Okay. Yep. All right. So, coming up, since you had to bounce around a few schools.
Yeah,
right?
A few schools. Yeah. I never had that like friend growing up from kindergarten thing. Like I never had close friends. That was something that, if you want to know about disadvantages, you're asking about advantages. Disadvantage being in the military type thing is bounced around. I was so the whole building that crazy bond that you just keep with, and that just never happened to me because I would move whole states or move cities that are too far away.
Did you understand what was going on, or you didn't at the time?
Kind of. It was like, just dad has to move for work, that's,
well, you just know it's work.
So like I understood to that extent, and I mean, that's all it really was, is he would just get repositioned from the military, different squadrons, different, battalions or whatever, and get moved around.
So how did that make you feel? Like, were you just automatically understanding, you wasn't tripping too hard, or was there like a place you did move to at a point in time? You're like, nah, I really don't want to move from here, but we have to move from here. Okay.
No, it's actually a weird itch. It's kind of an itch I get sometimes. I actually don't like staying in one place too long because I got so used to just kind of picking up and seeing new things all the time.
Oh, you adapted quick. Okay.
Yeah, I just got used to it. That's like the thing to do. So like sitting in one spot for a long time isn't like what I'm used to. It's, hey, you sit here for a while, get what you need to get done, and then you move on to the next place and you move. You pick up the move, go to the next spot, do what you need to do there. Pick it. So, it's sometimes a little itch where I'll just get like, I want to go do something. I want to go somewhere. Let's go somewhere. I need to get out of this.
Was there like a friend you had that you at that time got close with, and you had to move? You're like, damn, bro, I'm gonna miss you. In
the moment, I had a few friends. There was one, his name's Steven Caldwell. He was my like longest kindergarten friend. He was like the first friend I can distinctly remember having. I remember going over to his house all the time. I think after like school and stuff, and just on weekends. Used to go to church with him sometimes. That was kind of fun because I used to have like, I don't exactly remember what it was, but you can go and eat breakfast, donuts and stuff. It was, you know, place to kind of just eat, have some little snacks, do a little, and then you go back home. That's actually where I became the Bucs fan. He was the friend. That was when that Super Bowl was happening. There was the Raiders versus the Buccaneers.
Yeah.
And his whole family were Raiders fans. It was before I even knew like what football and the Super Bowl was. Mm-hmm. It was just something was going on, and all my family had gone to their house, and I was just enjoying it. And they were all cheering for that team, and I was like, "Well, I'm cheering for the other one," and they ended up winning that year.
Which, but not the one
Brady
with Tom Brady. Okay,
this is like I think their first one before that.
Okay.
That was when I guess I was an incidental bandwagon unknowingly. So I didn't even know. I was like, let's go for the other team. You guys all cheer for that one. I want to cheer for them. And they won that year, and that was their only win for the longest time, I believe, until Brady. Unless, you know, I might be wrong about football, but pretty sure that's what it was. So, but like that was their only win, and then they didn't win until Brady came again and won it. So it was kind of funny.
Coming up, man. Describe the type of student. What type of student was Troy, man? What type of student? What type of interested? I know you said football. We're gonna get on it, but like, what type of, like, as a kid, right? before just academic?
Yeah. Well, as a kid growing up, I actually played baseball for the longest time. I played baseball until 3rd or 4th grade, I want to say.
Now, what got you into that? What struck your interest? Did your parents just say, "Hey, we're gonna try something," or did you say?
Yeah, that was my dad.
Okay.
His rule is,
my mom did that to me.
Yeah, my dad was one of those. You're gonna play this sport. You're gonna play it 1 year just to see, because I never wanted to do anything. He
was getting y'all into something.
Yeah, so he's like, he's like, you're gonna do it 1 year, and if you like it, cool, you'll try it and you'll keep going. If not, no problem. Just let me know. Just, you are gonna do it this 1 year and try it, okay? And so sure enough, I did like it and played it. Okay. I kind of got bored of it growing up though, like around 4th or 5th grade, because a lot of it was just kids getting, striking out or just walking to base.
Oh yeah, see,
that's couldn't swing and pitchers couldn't pitch type thing. Okay. So I didn't like it.
It's not enough.
Like going on. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So and then
what positions you played in baseball?
I know I played like T-ball. They just put you kind of wherever, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh yeah, where they put the little stick with the ball on there, then you swing and hit it. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, but I might have played some infield. I don't know. I'm too young. I was too young to remember that.
Put you kind of in the well.
Yeah.
Hey, they call you out the bitch when they read.
Yeah. And then growing up a little bit later, I played some first baseman, and a lot of what I remember was playing catcher. My arm, I ended up getting an impingement in my arm, so throwing was really like accurate and hard for me. Throwing accurate and hard was difficult for me because any sort of power in my arm gives me like that dead arm feeling, like if you hit your funny bone. Yeah. I get that feeling. And
was that from the sports or just?
Yeah, it's from sports. It was actually from baseball. It was from how I swung. I used to have a really nice swing, but I used to do it kind of with heavier bats. And when I used to let go, I would let go and go like this. And doing this caused an impingement.
Over and over and over again.
Yeah, over and over again with the weighted bat growing up. Eventually, and like even going like this, like it kind of hurts. Like this is as far as I go, it starts to hurt. And now it's like, a little sore. But anyway, point is, doing that, I eventually got an impingement. And then, throwing started to hurt. Any sort of like very laborious type thing just starts making it hurt over time. So that's why playing first base was nice, because I didn't really have to throw too much. Catcher was fun, but throwing people out of like second base or something was hard for me because, like I said, that thing I was talking about, the arm issue. Yeah. But catcher was really fun. And I liked playing that because it was just fun to kind of sit down there and be there and trying to frame pitches. Even though I was too young, but getting into it, that idea of catching it and putting it back in and all that stuff, it was just fun. It was a good old time. And then kind of same year, I think it was around 4th grade, my dad said kind of the same thing. He's like, all right, you're going to try football. I was like, I don't want to. I'm playing baseball. He's like, nope. Okay. Nope, you're going to play it for 1 year, and if you like it, cool. And if you don't, you don't have to ever play it
that's kind of dope, though, because he's kind of like, nah, he's giving you like that push.
But not like forcing it.
They're not forcing it, but like, nah, we gonna try this out. I'm not gonna keep you in it all this time, but about a year it'll let you know whether you really rock with it or not.
And one of the things he always stressed is he would always coach me as much as he could, because those were two sports he actually knew pretty well. I mean, my dad knows 3 sports pretty well. Football is actually the least he knows, but he's actually more of a baseball and basketball guy when it comes to sports. And apparently I played basketball when I was like really, really young, but like, just kids fucking around with the ball type thing.
Yeah. That my sport right there. Yeah, I just got too many injuries. Bro.
I always look at it as one of those things I'm just not finessed enough for. I'm too much of a fucking brute when it comes to that type of shit. And,
you gonna fall out.
Man,
gonna fall out.
Like this shit, man. Like watching these dudes dribble and just like the smoothness of it. I ain't got it, bro.
Nah, I'm finna. Yeah, okay. Yeah. I feel.
Yeah. I would be living in the paint, and that'd be about it. That'd be about it.
I think I always.
If I could, that is too. But anyway,
I always love basketball, but God just never said, "Hey, you're gonna play football." He never genetically made.
There
was never that whisper in my ear to say.
Yeah, I can't say I was genetically gifted. A lot of the stuff I got was I worked really hard at this.
I seen the highlights, but hey, look, I know some people that just dressed out for practice and ain't never.
No, I wasn't one of
never played, bro.
The ones that get just join the team to make the photo and then they don't care about the rest of the
year. Yeah. So that's dope. Okay, and you said that was in the 4th grade.
Yeah, like 4th, 5th grade. He said you're trying football. I tried it, loved it. I was like, I don't want to play baseball anymore.
So what position was that? Did you automatically start with try it?
No, so actually my first year, that's kind of like a thing they do with most first years. You don't get the cool starter positions unless you're just like naturally spazzed or something like that. I was not, as we just mentioned. Yeah. So I actually played, I think it was right like tackle and defensive end, and I loved defensive end. It was really fun. Because it was one of those, it was simple to do, but for some reason a lot of kids couldn't do it because you do got to be pretty patient. Your whole thing is like containment and making sure no one gets outside you. And that's like the basic premise. Obviously, nowadays it gets a little bit more elaborate what DNs do, but back in that day, all you did was basically stay off the edge and make sure no one got outside you and everyone turned it up, turn everyone into your fucking people. Okay. And, I was good at it. I was able to, not get suckered in a lot, especially as I played it more and more years. And then tackle was just kind of fun because, you're there with a person. I made friends with, the other linemen. They were all cool and buddies and all that stuff. And that's kind of something you do as linemen. You always make buddies because, you're in there. And see,
that's something I could never do is actually on a tackle motherfucker. Like, I know there's a certain type of.
I don't like tackling.
Yeah, I'm like, you want me to jump up? Like,
yeah, I always told my dad.
I may hurt myself.
He always called me out for it. He's like, dude, you are way more physical running the ball than you are tackling somebody. I was like, yeah, that's because like I'm open. And he's like, what do you mean? I was like, well, if I gotta tackle somebody, I'm like this.
Yeah,
like, I'm like, I gotta like hug a dude and enforce it. Like, I don't like that when I'm running the ball. Like, I'm like a little. Dunstan little ball, like a little, truck, so I feel so much safer. It's like I feel protected. I'm surrounded by everything.
So you was playing offense and defense?
Yeah. My first year, yeah. That's kind of like, I will say that's one of the things of usually the, like if you're a smarter, a little more talented kid, they'll tend to try and have you try both ways. Because, when you're younger, you're going to grow up and your body's going to change and skills.
Yeah, you never stay the same.
Yeah, exactly. So it's one of those, they put you wherever your skills are best fit. And if you're a fast kid, you're a runner. If you're, can willingly to get your hands up underneath the kids and, get a hike, you can be a quarterback. And that's kind of like very basic skills are how you do it back when you're young.
Have you ever thought about quarterback? Did that ever go through that?
No. Because of my arm injury, that whole thing.
Of course.
Hey, it's all good.
Okay.
Yeah, but actually, I love doing it like when it was like flag football or out of pads. I love playing quarterback, and I'm pretty decent at it. I'm not saying I'm going to be going anywhere with it or and come back as quarterback. But it was actually something that was always fun to do because it's one of those more thinking positions. You got to be able to see who's beating who, know how to throw the ball and all that stuff, lead people. And if you start playing against better people, there's windows, so you got to be able to read a defense, know where potential windows are going to be.
See, just how you talking shows that yes, you strapped up and passed. You know.
That's
I can't speak like that. I can't speak like that.
To like watch football with a lot of people because it entertains me on a different level. Like I like that type of thing.
Because you could break down the play, you could know what they playing, you know what they trying to do.
Safety and think like, okay, if I'm that quarterback right now, I'm reading this about the safety, so hopefully this is what it should be. And also
compared to someone that's just trying to watch their team win, just wait for their team to win, or be on FanDuel with their parlays. Oh,
and that's why people will be like, like, oh, he's throwing like 500 yards for 3 games. I'm like, cool, I didn't know that. They're like, oh, how do you not know that? I was like, well, because I don't know like stats, but I can look at a game and like read a play and try and read a play and guess.
Yeah, I never could get some stats names.
Yeah, dude, that's always beyond me. And knowing like dynasty history facts and stuff like that, I never knew any stuff like that. I always lose track of positions and players. I try and just watch the game and see what the team's doing with whatever talent they got, even if they ain't got any talent. What the fuck you doing with your talentless squad? Let's see if you can think of something. And you have some of those times where like squads know they're kind of getting outperformed. It's usually more in college, and that's when they'll start pulling out those crazy trick plays that you'll see, top craziest plays in college history.
Yeah,
and I love seeing those moments because
So, like, all right. So, playing football, that must mean your mom and dad was in the stands watching, right?
Yeah.
So, all right. How was that? Like, what type of parents were they in the stands? Like,
my mom was embarrassed and my dad was loud.
Okay.
My first year playing, I believe my dad didn't coach me. And he was like, not a big deal because he's like, we'll just see if you even like the sport. If you don't like the sport, I'm not gonna.
He coached you before?
My dad coached me for a lot of years.
Oh shit! Okay.
Yeah, like I said, that was one of the things he liked to. He coached me in baseball for a few years too. That was one of the things like my dad wanted to do to make sure I was getting coached and taught properly because there are other people.
And that's like, dope having a. My single mom would. She ain't coached me in no athletic nothing. I had to get that off the black court.
Yeah. Like I said, my stuff was all, my dad taught me pretty much all my sports skills.
Oh, that's dope. That's dope.
And then other stuff is just things I picked up from camps and along the way.
Oh, you went to camps?
Yeah, I had to go to a bunch of like skill camps.
What that stuff called? Pop Warner?
Pop Warner and Pee Wee and stuff like that.
Okay,
yeah,
I've never.
Those are like the little leagues. That's what they're called.
Because and your mother, she was never scared to see you get hit or.
Not for the most part, because I never actually had any crazy hits, to be honest, on me. Actually, that was like one of the first rules my dad taught me in football. He's like,
not to get hit or how not to get hit?
No, he said there's 2 people in football. There's the hitter and the hittee. Don't be the hittee. It's very simple and basic.
Okay, and I can get
got it.
Okay, don't get hit. Do the hitting. Okay.
Exactly. He's like, you're either going to inflict the punishment or you're going to take it. That's kind of the only way these interactions are going to end. So better to inflict it, right? And I was like, yeah. And that's kind of, you can see it in, when you watch my film. I like to do the physical running because I was like, I don't know if I can juke you, but I know I can make sure I can just run you into the dirt, and then you ain't going to want to get back up or hit me harder next time.
And see, that's what I notice about football, especially with the running back position. As long as you moving it forward, moving moving the chains up the field. Mm-hmm. You're a good running back. They don't like the whole. You do a good play, then you lose all the yards, or you fumble all the time.
No, you want consistency. That was my main thing. I was consistency. I wasn't the big, 3 big plays, and then that was it. I might get a 1 and 2 yard play. I was pretty much always getting my 3 or 4 yards. Because again, that was like my dad's philosophy. It's kind of a lot of what he.
And then that take the pressure off the quarterback.
Yeah, and everything else. Okay. Yeah, his whole philosophy is it's 10 yards to a first down. There's only so many yards in between the touchdowns. Mm-hmm. So there's only so many first downs you got to get before you're scoring.
And just break it down like a fraction.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So focus on you got 4 downs to get 10 yards. That's usually on the 4th yard you punt. And back in the day, this is back before punting or going for it was so common like it is now. So he's like, so you got 3 downs really to get 10 yards. That's about 3.5 yards per down, and you're moving the chains. So if you can get 3.5 yards every run, you're doing your job. And that is all I focused on was 3.5 yards. That's all I cared about, 3.5 yards. 3.5 yards, and that was pretty much my goal. If my average was 3.5 yards in a year, good year for me. That's all I cared about.
Now I know, because I done had people that played football, boxing, and stuff like that. You know, some parents just to see their child get hit, or they won't even let you even enroll into the sport.
My dad,
it's too dangerous.
No, my mom definitely never cared about that, and like dope. I said, my dad pushed me into it. And then started coaching me, later on. So he definitely wasn't he was, if anything, don't be a bitch, get out there and
try some shit.
Exactly. So
would you say, were there any football players growing up that you watched that influenced you in a way?
No, because I didn't really actually watch a lot of football growing up.
You just kind of just fell into the sport?
Yeah, it was one of those things I did, and then I just would always do my own thing. And when I wasn't doing that, I didn't want to do more of it outside of it. So I try to always break off from it. That's why I kind of would fit in, but not fit in with some shit, because I was good at the sport, but when I wasn't playing football, I was playing my little nerdy ass video games, my fantasy games and all that stuff. Yeah. So while other kids would be, playing football and then playing Madden and then watching football games, football is like their personality. And that was just something that never really ever happened to me. It was more just a means to an end, an activity that I liked, and that's kind of how I always seen it. It never really became that thing that I came obsessed with. Like I said, watching games, it was more just fun to kind of break down films and try and guess what they're doing in the yardage and situation.
Yeah, you watched it different.
Yeah, it was just different for me.
Yeah, I don't watch it like that. I'm trying to get my Eagles to win, and not too many people.
That's what I try and do now. Like the Super Bowl, coming up tomorrow.
Dude, back in the Super Bowl, man. Yeah. I ain't gonna knock him. But
either way, dude, I'm happy for it. Yeah. Either person wins, there's good, because I'm a big McCaffrey fan. I loved him back when he was in college. So if he wins, awesome. And then if I ain't mistaken, they always give that quarterback shit for being the man that no one cares about type thing. So it'd be cool for him to kind of get a ring and prove he can actually do some shit.
Hey, and another thing you don't see in the NFL, a lot of white running backs and someone that is good and skilled as hell and does multiple things on the field.
That's actually one of my little favorite things with him is actually an interview he had. Because one of those little stereotypes where, a lot of people, it's an assumed stereotype. I ain't saying it's true, but when you see, the black running backs, it's assumed it's a natural gift. They're naturally gifted, they're talented. And then when you see the white boy who does it, it's through hard work and determination. And they actually had an interview, I believe, with McCaffrey where someone was like, so having how hard did it work to get the speed that you try to get? And he's like, why is it assumed I worked hard? He's like, I've actually always just naturally been fast. I never had to work hard.
If it's in you, it's in you.
He's like, I just been fast. And he's like, I don't know why it's assumed I had to work this super hard thing just to be quick.
Now, see, what I noticed over the last couple of years, because I'm just getting back into liking the sport of football and understanding it. The running back position is not appreciated.
No, and I mean,
it's low paid, and after a couple of years, next year,
you dish out, you get a lot of damage because you got to think by the time you're in the pros. You got to think people like me, they've played since 5th grade, so
that's a lot of
5th to 4th grade. That's or 4th, 5th grade. Let's go there because you can start. I think about as early as 3rd grade is the youngest division I've seen.
And that's why some parents are nervous about getting their child started at the young age. It's a physical sport, man.
And it can
fuck you up.
And it's one of those I didn't realize how many concussions I had till I really asked my dad one day.
See, that's some shit I don't know nothing about.
Yeah, so they always talk about getting your bell rung. It's just a common phrase in football. When you get a hard hit and you kind of just have a headache type thing, it's called getting your bell rung. But that's actually a minor concussion that you just had. It's from your brain literally it's from your brain impacting against your skull and the damage type thing.
So during having the concussion, you didn't know you was having a concussion?
Yeah, I didn't know that was a concussion. I just thought I had got my bell rung. I thought it was a separate thing. And I told my dad one day, I was talking about concussions because I've had actually bad concussions where when I was in, I want to say 6th or 7th grade, it was one of my scariest experiences growing up as a kid. I just had football practice and we were just doing hitting drills. And I remember I was going up against this kid. His name's Terrell Clark. and it was like a meet me in the alley type drill. But we had 5 holes. The running back would get told a hole, and you just.
Side note, I don't mean to cut that, but you good with names to say you had some concussion. I can't remember nobody's name, boy. I got to see the face first.
I remembered him, like when that happened. I just remembered the name.
Okay, all right.
I remembered the hit from that night. It was a hit like no other fucking hit I'd had in my life. We were doing that drill, and usually, I was a pretty big on hitting people hard. That was the thing I like to do. So I went to hit this kid, and we just collided. And it was a good ass just collision right there. We tackled it and it was done. But in the collision, I just saw white. Like, it just flashed white for like a split second. And then I got up and my head fucking rung. Like, it was fucking hurting and pounding. And I was like, whew, all right. And I just walked off thinking it was a good ass hit. Whatever, went on about my day. And then later that night, I had fallen asleep. And then I just woke up and was really, really dizzy. Like, I just couldn't focus on anything. The room was
spinning,
and I saw these weird squiggly lines floating around. And I was freaking out because I couldn't focus and I couldn't do anything. I was just sitting there dizzy as fuck. So I called my parents because my dad had left for work at that time, and my mom hadn't gotten back from work. There'd be times where my mom would work the night shift, and my dad had to leave really early to get to military base.
Okay.
So it was one of those times where she just wasn't home and no one was home yet. So I had to call my dad. I was like, Dad, I don't know what's going on. I can't see straight. I'm seeing squiggly lines. Everything's spinning. And he had to explain to me what was going on. And he's like, all right, so did you vomit or anything like that? And I was like, no, why? And he's like, all right, when you were at football, do you remember having a really hard hit? And then I told him that. I was like, yeah, there was this one, told him about Clark, seeing why. He's like, all right, you have a concussion. You're really concussed. Just stay up for a little bit. Make sure, you're good. Drink some water, and you should be good. And I had to sit there for a little bit on some steps.
Oh, you don't have to go to the hospital and then when that happens, you just shake back.
Probably should. I don't know.
Damn.
But my dad was in the military. He was a medic type thing. He was a Navy corpsman. So
damn, that's dope.
Yeah, so he actually did some dope ass shit. He doesn't really talk about it too much.
Man, break that to that man. Don't talk TV. I would hear that shit.
My dad, all right, so my dad's actually been in the newspaper for something he did.
What?
It's kind of a sad story.
Okay.
So this was back, I believe, in Somalia.
Okay.
He was at it was a market, kind of an open ground market type thing with stalls and all that stuff.
Okay.
And I want to say Somalia was a rebel army. It wasn't an organized army. So anyway, they came by and did a drive-by shooting in some truck or whatever. And when they drove by, they managed to hit 2 kids. They hit one, I want to say, in the head or somewhere in the face. It was pretty fatal.
Oh. And
then another kid, they had hit them in the stomach. And, they called them up and said, hey, we have these 2 kids that are hit. I need you to come.
He was that guy where you call him up and he come.
Yeah, he would come and try to people up, or if he got shot, he would be like I said, I got another one that's pretty fucking crazy. Anyway, this one's kind of sad.
Yeah.
But anyway, so he pulls up to the scene and he has these 2 kids getting shot. And I believe this is from what he told me, this is how it kind of went down. He goes up and everyone there at the scene wants him to save the kid that has a really bad head wound or a pretty fatal wound. Because they're like, hey, save this kid. He's got a really bad head wound. Uh-huh. And my dad, one of the things you're taught in the medical profession is kind of survival rating. So
what's that?
I'm about to break it down for you. I was about to say it. And this may not be the right term. There might be a better term. But basically, when you come up to a scene, you got to examine the wounds and decide who has a higher probability of surviving. And then from there, you also got to decide if you were to try and fix one, what is then the other one's odds of surviving? So my dad pulled up to the spot, and the kid with the head wound, he's like, okay, I could try and save this kid with the head wound. But if I try and save him, the kid with the stomach wound is going to die. It's no doubt. But there may be a chance, even if I try and save this kid, he still won't survive.
Yeah, with
this kid with the stomach wound, I can save him and almost guarantee his survival. But the kid with the head wound isn't going to survive because he's got a more fatal wound.
Oh.
So everyone wants him to treat the kid with the more fatal wound, but he has to go treat the kid with the stomach wound because that is what his training teaches him, is try and get the guaranteed survival as opposed to the not so sure. And so he had to, and that's what the picture is. It's him doing the surgery of the kid, I believe, with the stomach wound that he had to pick. And there's another kid that was dead that he had to kind of just let die because he can't save them both, and you can't guarantee the survival of one, and so he has to go with the most guaranteed survival.
So, damn.
Yeah, so shit.
God, boy, there's some good footage. Anyway, man, so, in your opinion, I wish I could ask him that, but in your opinion, do you think that saying stuff like that, because it's not easy saying anyone get shot, let alone a kid,
let alone, he's seen some, like my dad's seen some shit. And
do you think that
definitely?
Okay,
he had PTSD.
Okay,
he definitely has some issues
because you don't see normal stuff like that. That's not normal. You don't see that every day.
You can ask him if you want to. His forearm tattoo. When you see him next time, he has a forearm tattoo. It's the military, I believe it's called the infantry memorial. Basically, it's kind of like the grave marker you put for someone if they died in combat, I believe. I don't know. I might be getting my military history wrong. Anyway, it's a little more on his forearm. It has like the boots and the gun and the helmet kind of sitting there on his forearm. Anyway, it has a Roman numeral 14. And that's how many people in his like battalion died while he was deployed. And that's kind of like a little tattoo to remember him. So he has like 14, I don't know if he knows them personally or saw them, but there's 14 people that he went out to combat with that have died. If I'm not mistaken. I'd have to double check with him on that. But so that was like, just the Somalia, that event. There was another time he told me where, and this is kind of like part of the fucked up U.S. military code, in my opinion. Can't say for sure, but so one of like the U.S. Like rules of engagement, I believe, is like we'll tend to any injured civilians. That's something we do. We'll do, anyone civilian that gets injured in combat, we'll give medical attention to, type thing.
Okay.
So Somalia, like I kind of mentioned, I believe was more of a rebellion. So they weren't like an organized army. It wasn't like the army of the state of Somalia or whatever. Point is, it wasn't organized. It was a rebellion. Okay. So anyway, my dad was saying he was doing this patrol down a street, and it was kind of like a God, you know how you have streets that have like medians and stuff on them? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So he was going down this street, and it was like a two-way street. You got two lanes over here, 2 lanes over here, and then it's divided by this big median down the middle that has like plants, palm trees, all this stuff in it. So they're split into 2 columns walking down this road with this big planter dividing it, and there's a bunch of little side roads and alleys breaking off to this road because it's like a main road in the city.
Okay.
And so he's walking down this road, and they're doing a patrol, and then this car pulls out of one of the side alleys and just starts opening up on him to try and shoot him. It's kind of your basic drive-by. They're literally trying to shoot the patrol as they're walking down this pillar and opened up. So they then returned fire because they got shot on, so they returned fire onto the car, injured some of the people. And then, they go see that they're injured, and then he returns to base later on, and the same people that were in that truck were then had to get treated by triage later because they were considered civilians. So he had to help treat the very same people that were shooting at him. I don't know if it was him specifically, but he said he saw them there, and they were then getting treated by, their medical professions after just getting open fired on by the same people.
Oh, you shoot at me, bitch! I'm gonna let you.
It's like
save you. What the?
Boy, that's a civilians there.
Slick side.
Yep.
I'll not give you your medicine. I'll cut off this insulin. Boy, let me stop.
Yeah.
See, that's what I'm saying. I don't have that. I don't have that mentality. That's a different mentality. Yep. To save someone that shot at you to see.
Yep, and see it and just not do anything. Yeah. Another cooler, a cooler story. I don't know if he saved the guy, unfortunately. It might have been a sad ending, but same thing. This was, I want to say, in like Afghanistan or Iraq. Not too sure. It might still be Somalia. I think a lot of his shit was in Somalia, but I'll have to ask him if you want the exacts. But anyway, they were patrolling, doing like a building to building kind of clear out procedure type thing. So you start at the base of one building, go up to the top to the roof, and then you go down, clear up to the next building, and it's just building to building, floor by floor. It's one of the like crazy things that people hate about urban combat is super tight quarters, floor to floor, every room, so you can be trapped around any room. But anyway, they were doing this clearing to clearing, and they were kind of like doing a leapfrog technique. So the way it is like you have your group of four. I clear this house, you clear the next one, and then I skip you and I go on to the next house, and they're kind of doing that to clear the houses. And apparently, like, one dude had gotten a little bit further off, and he was on the roof, and he got shot while he was on the roof. and my dad was a few roofs down and saw him get shot. And as opposed to going down the steps and then running down to the next steps or to the house and going up the steps, he started throwing his pack over the roofs, jumped over the roof, grabbed his pack.
My God.
And then he tried to get to I don't know if he got to him in time and saved him, but he jumped roofs to try and save this man's life with the pack. And, I don't think that's any easy feat to do, but yeah.
And to do it off of instinct.
Yeah, that's what he just decided to do. Instead of trying to go down the steps, he just said,
it would have took a while.
Yeah.
God damn, what he got sniped? The dude got sniped.
I don't know if it's sniped or shot or anything like that. I think obviously going to do too much details like, what caliber was it?
Yeah.
You just said, dude got shot and I had to jump rooftops trying to go save him. I was like, that's insane, dude. Like,
so did you ever want to try to follow that, go into that field?
No, my dad specifically like turned me away from it, which is something people always trip out about because a lot of the military people kind of push their kids into military also.
Yeah.
But no, he specifically said like it sucked doing it. I saw crappy shit, and I served 20 years. That's more than enough for the family. You guys don't get in the military. I served our time. Don't
make it a thing.
Yeah, exactly. Thing. Just I did our time. And, one of the things he did is you get that GI Bill after doing, I think it's either 4 or 20 years, and it's 4 paid years of a state education of wherever you retired from, I believe. And he gave each one of us a year. So he didn't take the GI Bill. He divided it to each one of us kids, so we would each have a free year in college and stuff like that. So
that's dope.
Yep, so he really tried to hook it up. That's why, got a lot of love for my dad. And like I said, the whole time, my mom was holding the fort while he was out there earning that shit. So
how do you think it was for moms? Like, all right, you said he had the traumatic, things going on across seas. And yeah. So
like the PTSD
think,
and stuff
do you
like
what you think that was like for your moms? Like, cause she's got to be there for him as well. Like
I don't know, dude. That's like a tough one. I haven't talked to her about it too much.
Okay, cause that has to.
But I can't assume it would be easy, like seeing the person.
Yeah, cause she's the wife and stuff like that. She gotta know.
Seeing the person you're married to go through something like that, and it was one of those So the way my dad's PTSD was, if you don't mind, is that it was mainly sounds, and if he was in a deep sleep and then got woken up by a shock. So fireworks would scare him. He'd get a little anxious and scared. Okay. And so if anyone lit loud fireworks nearby, he would get jittery and frustrated and start to get mad because he would just get scared in that fight or flight moment.
Yeah, I understand why. Yeah. Shit, but 20 years of just being around,
and dealing with that, and actually being in those situations multiple times. Yeah. But the biggest ones, and kind of I don't want to say scariest, but the ones where you could really tell, you definitely have something going on in your dome, is if you be napping and you try to wake him up. Sometimes he would have no idea where he was or even who he was talking to. So there's been times where he'd be asleep up in his bedroom, and I'd be like, "Hey, Dad, what's for dinner?" Or, "Hey, Dad, I'm going out." Dad, I'd be like, what's going on? Who are you? And he flat out asks who I am, and I have to be like, "Hey, Dad, it's just me. Just ask."
So you knew how to?
Yeah, I mean, after you see it a few times, once you see it and kind of know what's going on, you're able to.
By then, you're older.
And it had, like I said, I've seen it happen I think 2 or 3 times where I would go up and try and wake him up, and he'd be startled and not see where he was. There was one time we were in a hotel room, and it was when we were doing one of those football camp things I was telling you about, going skill camps. And my mom and I had gone out to get basic groceries to kind of make up in the hotel room, snacks, granola bars, little things to kind of snack on while we were staying there. And he had fallen asleep while we were grocery shopping. And so I had a bag of, groceries on my arm. Mm-hmm. And we startled him awake when we opened the door. He, opened to this shot of the hotel room, that loudest. Mm-hmm. He got startled by that. Same thing. He was like, what's going on? Where am I? Who are you? And I took the bag and then I hid it. And he's like, what's that? What's in that bag? What's in the fucking bag? And I was like, it's just groceries, Dad. And he just went, and once he said it's groceries, he's kind of immediately snapped out of it. It's a really weird,
I understand, because it's
the switch gets turned and then it's off once they
because flying across there, that switch never that switch is on all the time because you have to be.
Because you have to be. Just period. You gotta have it on all the time, and you don't know if a door shut is an enemy or
that's the thing,
dude. Yeah,
you'll never know if you being awakened to gunfire or someone standing over you trying to kill you. You never know, or just like.
On a goofy note, a goofy football, or not goofy football, but a goofy military deployment. Yeah. So he has a Purple Heart. You ever?
For real?
Yeah.
Oh,
it's cool. Shit. It's cool, but it's a stupid story. Okay. So if you ever look at his calf, he's got a big old chunk kind of missing out of his calf, and it's from a mortar fragment.
Man, he said something about me, but I never looked at it.
Yeah, it's from a mortar fragment, if I'm not mistaken.
What is that?
A mortar? You know what a mortar is?
Yeah.
All right. So like a mortar is it's a type of weapon. You know, like RPG from Call of Duty? The fucking shoulder with the rocket?
Oh!
Okay, so that tip part, imagine taking that off and then you put it in the tube and you can just like launch it from fucking yards away. That's what a mortar is essentially. It's a little projectile that you shoot out of a tube and it kind of fires in an arc, and it's used kind of as like portable artillery essentially.
Okay.
I guess that's the easiest way to explain it without like breaking down mortars and like drawing a mortar for you. But anyway, so he was at a base set up somewhere, and they were just kind of doing their things, and they had these like daily barrages from mortars that would just kind of happen every so often around the same time, and it was just these people trying to scare them away. It's kind of something they do. It's, you know, shock and awe type thing. They just shell shock you, bomb you every so often just to remind you, hey, we're right here and we're honing you in type thing, and we know where you are. And I don't think they ever had any crazy casualties or anything like that, but one time I believe they were doing like a volleyball tournament or something like that on the base or something.
Yeah.
Some stupid just, you know, hey, camaraderie, morality thing, and they shelled them during the tournament. And my dad, I guess, I believe, unless I'm telling the story entirely wrong, as far as I remember, but he got caught by a fragment while he was out there doing the tournament, and like one just hit him up and got him in the calf. And that's how he got his little Purple Heart. That's how he got his Purple Heart, was fucking a little mortar fragment while I believe doing like a volleyball or a flag football tournament or something like that. so all these cool stories, and that's how he got injured.
So he had to get stitches. Like how many stitches? Do you know?
Don't know if he even got stitches. Like I said, you can check. It's a big old. I think it's healed a little bit better, but it's literally a hole. Like
I never know. I remember him saying.
You can see it. Obviously, it's going to start warming up, so we'll start wearing shorts. You'll see it on the inside of his calves. I can't remember which one it is. I think it's his left one. It's a little scar. Kind of looks like kind of like a little teardrop type thing. It goes wide then, or it's, tight, widens up, and then.
He was like, we was talking about something. He said, well, I'd rather that than get a chunk of my leg blown off or something. He said, I didn't know why he said that. That's a weird example of just.
Yeah, he's taking a mortar around. And I think he's probably, when people were complaining about work, he's like, I'd probably do that than take fucking mortar around to my calves.
Jeez.
Yeah. Okay. Kind of humor he has to show you. Dude takes a chunk out of his calf from shrapnel and makes jokes about it when people are bitching about heavy packages.
Okay. Yeah.
He's different. My dad's different. My dad, I love him. He's a different type.
Okay. So, all right. What type of things your mom was into? Like as I just know her as the boss she is now. What type of jobs and stuff was your mom doing to hold it down? What type of things?
She actually started as a waitress, just at a bar and grill type thing. It was called I think it was called Mitzel's or something like that.
Okay.
And that's from what I remember, that's like the first job I remember her having that like I have a timing reference for, it was like Mitzel's, and that was just a restaurant lady. My dad and them didn't have much when we were like growing up. They're kind of getting by, living on base housing to try and get the cheapest place possible, doing as much as they can with as little as they had. And then she started working. It was when we moved to Riverside, I believe, when she started actually finally like gaining some paychecks. She started working at this place called Events, and it was actually owned by this dude named Jeff, funny enough. And he gave her, I think she also just started off as a waitress, bartender type thing, then came in as like a assistant manager, and she started moving up through the ranks with him. And then she became just, I think, a flat-out general manager for him at one point. And then he started expanding. He said, "Hey, I'm going to open up this place called it was called like Lake Alice or some shit like that." Anyway, it was another place in Riverside. He's like, "Can you go start being the manager?" And she went there and kind of helped him get that place off the ground and get it going, and hired the waitresses and hired the staff. And once that was all done, he's like, "Hey, I'm opening up this place in Norco. It's called Salazar Saloon. Do you want to work there? I'll give you some more money if you help that place." So she went there and hired the staff, got it going again, and she was kind of like his little golden child that he would send to the new places, get him up and going. And
he knows she finna handle business.
Exactly, and get the shit going and get it right, and know it's going to run how he wants it to run, because she, started from there, and that's how she started making her money. And then eventually she went to the more corporate job with a place called Islands. It's a little like burger chain out in California. I don't know if it's out here, but that was her first big break into a corporate business, because that was all, like I said, mom and pops. This dude named Jeff owned all those places and was kind of making his living. And then she went into a big corporate job with Islands, and that's kind of where she stayed for a while until she came out here.
Okay, that's dope. That's dope.
So her whole job is from the restaurant side and managing that stuff. That's why when she came out here, she kind of already knew how to manage stuff. But she
already had that mindset.
Yep.
Okay, so all right. So moving from even though we all had humble beginnings and stuff like that, coming from even though you were born in Texas, but coming from a giant state like California to down here and down south back, the lingo is different, and
it's different.
So what was that transition like, man? By then you're older and you used to moving around and stuff.
Yeah. So for me personally, moving out here was kind of a fresh start, because like I said, went in California.
You said you always wanted a fresh start. Always. Okay, I understand.
Yep. Mm-hmm. So when the town I grew up in, Hemet, it was kind of like a little podunk, no-name town. It was more known as like a retirement community. It's where you go when you're old and you're kind of at the end of your line. It just had a bunch of retirement communities.
And a shootouts over there.
Yep, a few little houses and, a few fucking schools, and that was pretty much it. It was very small. Well, then as I started growing up, it kind of, it was growing also. They got this nice little new housing complex that they built in, but as they're building this new fancy housing complex, that's when the housing market crashed. So they had this fancy gated just community that just plummeted, was worth nothing. And I don't remember the exacts, but they ended up making it Section 8 housing, where it was, very low income housing, and non-violent criminals essentially is what can move in there. It was kind of one of those weird things. It was like a gated ghetto. It was very weird, but it was kind of a thing it just had. It was this nice, really fancy gated community with all these
affordable
all these fancy parks, and it had a river going through it. But because it was built right when the thing crashed, it became just run down. People were, tagging up garage doors and stuff like that, vandalizing the house.
Yeah, and the value.
Exactly, and the value went down, and then when the value went down, people moved in, and it stayed down. Yeah. So a bunch of that stuff happened. So the city started just kind of going down. We started having more gang stuff going on. It was never crazy, because there's a bunch of
out there or down here?
Out there.
Okay.
I'm by California. I'm gonna give you Hemet, and then tell you kind of how it changed from here.
Okay.
So out in Hemet, like I said, started off kind of just another little retirement town. It was super boring. I hated that. It was boring. Nothing to do. And basically, as I was growing up, it became ghetto, and it started getting run down, and people were getting stabbed phones on corners and shit like that.
Oh yeah.
And stuff like that. I was like, there's nothing here for me. I hate this city, and it kind of ended up spoiling a lot of California for me already. And so then for college, I moved out to New Jersey. That's where I was playing football for a little bit. It was at little William Patterson. And that was kind of my, I'm getting the fuck out of California. I'm done with California. I hate this town. I'm getting as far away as possible. Okay. Went out there. realized I did not like New Jersey either, or I just didn't like the college.
Because what was that? Because that was a big transition.
That was a big transition. I had a lot of issue with like the California people. They kind of got the two-sided personality. They'll be nice to you to your face and then talk shit behind your back, and I hated that. I'm very, I mean, shit, you know me. I'm very like, this is how I feel about it. This is. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Yeah.
If you got a problem with my honesty, we can talk about it. If we can work something out, cool. If not, let's just go our separate ways. Because hey, at least we was honest. It just ain't working out. You know what I mean? Better that.
But though.
Exactly. Better that than this weird like eggshell walk-in.
No, you don't want that.
Kind of friends.
You don't want all this build up.
Yeah. So I hated that.
Okay.
And I actually didn't mind that over there in New Jersey. They're very business oriented, you know, very like, I'm going to do my shit. You do your shit. Don't bother me. Stay on your stuff. I'm going to stay on my stuff. And I actually didn't mind that because that's, you know, I'm going to do my thing. I ain't going to bother anybody. I don't want to bother anybody. So don't bother me. And I'm going to do my thing. I'm going to make sure I ain't going to cause any problems. And I'm going to make sure I'm going to do the best thing I can while not causing anyone any grief type thing, you know. As best as you can do that. That's kind of how I try and execute business and everything in my life is don't cause a problem, but also, you know, make sure you're doing what you want to do type thing.
Yeah, just do your thing, man. Just
exactly. So did that, but I try to go out there just for like college and having a good time with the football team type thing because it was a Division III.
Were you recruited? Yeah. Wait, oh damn! That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
a lot of people.
I had multiple little colleges bring me out for like recruiting things.
That's still dope.
Yeah, it was fun. So the reason I went back is I was starting going out, being in New Jersey, out there by my own, and I was never big into talking a bunch. So already I never really had that pre-established line of communication with the family. So then going out there and being on my own entirely, I just felt really alone, and then didn't really like the whole football atmosphere out there, and wasn't liking the college experience. So I just got kind of depressed, started having issues with depression, and just said, hey, this isn't working out. I need to come back. And so I then did come back, and that's when I tried to do some more junior college out there for a little bit, and tried a different degree approach because I wasn't liking the original degree I tried. And then the second one I tried, I wasn't also liking, and I didn't want to be that kid perpetually going to college, never ever getting a degree, but constantly spending money. So I kind of just stopped doing that and tried to do a construction type stuff for a little bit, just because that's easy money if you can do some stuff.
How was that? How was the construction job?
It wasn't bad. The work was very choppy. It was this place called GoStaff. It was a temp labor agency. I didn't know that going in, so I guess that's bad research on me. But basically, you just the way it works is they kind of take you there, make sure you can pass the drug test, and say, all right, we'll call you on these days, and you can show up here, and if you have a job, or if we have a job for you, you can. If not, we'll pay you $20, and you go home. And that was the job. And I was like, I did not know that, and for the most part, I was always getting the jobs, and I was like, all right, that's cool, I'm coming in, doing my thing, but then they started sending me, and this was all with minimum wage. They paid you minimum wage.
Okay. Was it $20 like gas money just for coming out there to?
Pretty much, like $20 to come out there would cover my gas money for the week. If I had to constantly go out there every day and they only paid me $20, I would essentially just be making gas money, and that would be it. So.
Okay.
That was rough. And then when you did go, you'd get minimum wage, which was, I think, $10.50 at the time for, your full 6 hours. Okay. But sometimes they would make you drive an hour and a half away to a site.
Wait. Minimum wage is what out there?
$10.50.
All right, okay, continue.
No, it's different. Trust me, the cost of living
it's higher. Yeah, that's so.
Yeah, like how much? Yeah. Like a 1-bedroom can cost you $2,000 easy. Like
you could get land way cheaper down here.
Yeah, and I'm talking like $2,000 apartment is a 1-bedroom in some random city an hour away from LA and shit like that. Like that's what you get for $2,000, and that's a good rate. That's an average rate.
Oh, okay. Damn.
Yeah, so it's a different level. When you hear 1050, like, yeah, that's some fucking money, but then you hear like
you go out there and the price of living and all that.
Yeah,
okay,
and that's just an apartment, and then you got gas, which is $3 to $4 a gallon.
Oh, okay. So it still ain't the goddamn shit.
It doesn't. It's basically it doesn't balance out any better.
So I guess it's just never supposed to balance out.
No, that's fuck why it's the minimum.
Yeah. Yep. Try not to make the minimum.
Exactly.
Okay.
Anyway.
All right.
But making minimum wage and then driving really far with expensive gas and getting spotchy job choices. Sometimes I was making spending more money on gas driving there and then driving to a site than I was making just from going there. So it wasn't that great of a job, except for when you would get a solid site that liked you and you could go, straight from your place to the work site and type thing. Then you could have, so there's spurts of, some good jobs here and there. There's this factory job I really like. That's why I know random things. Like I can drive a forklift and a skid loader. I know how to drive because some people will take you on and be like, all right, what do you know? And I'm like, I'm sorry, I didn't know anything about construction. I was expecting it to be like one of those things, kind of like they put you on and kind of like almost an apprenticeship type program where you hop on, they'll be like, all right, we're, plumbers, this is our job. We'll start off here and I'll start teaching you the craft. And if you're, if in, 2 weeks we like you, we'll take you on. And that's kind of what I thought it was going to be. It wasn't that at all. It was you're essentially like maids for the fucking construction site. You'd come in, sweep some, pick up trash, and then you were gone. And that was your job for the day. And it was gone the next day.
Okay.
Yeah, unless they had a really big site that needed to get cleaned multiple days. So anyway, so there's some good jobs here and there that were different and you learn things and stuff like that. And I always liked those jobs. But then eventually they'd stop and say, yeah, we're not going to be doing that anymore because we'll hire somebody else instead. And so they would just hire someone else as opposed to taking me on because they have to pay a fee for Go Staff for them finding us and then wanting to take us. So it'd be more expensive for them to take you through Go Staff than they were to just hire their own person and shit like that.
Ooh, that sounds like a...
Yeah, it was one of those, I didn't know any of that was going on. Yeah, it's the shitty thing. So if we wanted to hire you, it'd be better if you stopped working for a month or something like that, and then we could hire you without saying we found you through Go Staff, and you could then work on for us. And I was like, damn, all right. So now you're basically getting all these jobs that pay you minimum wage and no one wants to keep you and actually hire you because they don't want to pay the finder's fee to Go Staff, essentially.
And just a run around.
Yeah, so you just run around going to different places. There was one job that was 2 hours away, and it sucked.
Oh,
but the few jobs that were nice, that paid nice, it was nice. And, you try to enjoy them when you could.
Okay, so being back in California and stuff, moving back, you're closer to family and people.
For a little bit, yeah. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Okay.
But yeah, so when I had moved back to California, my first, I think, year going to college, my parents were there, but then they moved out here to Baton Rouge and started the business.
They moved first?
Yep, they moved about a year before I even came out here.
Oh.
When they moved, my dad used some of his retirement. Like I said, my parents are awesome. They've helped me out a lot of the way. He used some of his retirement from the military to help cover the bills for the house, while my sister, me, her boyfriend, my girlfriend at the time, and then this chick named Lonnie, who was just a family friend. Mm-hmm. We all lived in the house and, paid for everything else that he couldn't afford to cover, essentially. And that's kind of was the living situation. I was in charge of paying the bills and collecting everyone's money and stuff like that, which was fun. But I hated doing that because I was the younger brother collecting the money and shit, which my sister hated for a while. And that caused problems too. But I'm pretty sure we're over that now.
Okay, so you moved down to Baton Rouge
after me and my girlfriend broke up.
Okay,
I had a girlfriend at the time that I was living with, and her and I broke up. And I was like, yeah, there's no reason for me to be here. It's my sister and her boyfriend, who I was like, I'm not trying to live with them forever, and I don't really know Leilani. And my girlfriend broke up with me, and came out here, lived with them for a little bit, started working with them, and then moved out.
So did your sister end up coming to BR too, or they're still family in California?
Yep. Joe did eventually. That's the one that I was living with. She came out there a little bit later. She was living out there for a little bit with my parents, helping them a lot and helping them with bills and stuff. And then eventually she got pregnant, and my parents were like, you got to move out here. You're not having a kid out there on your own and stuff like that. So then they moved out here.
Huh. Okay. All right.
It was like a good year or two after me.
Okay. And we were just talking about how you like the food down here and stuff like that, how it was a little different and stuff like that. So all right, so you come down here helping families with the
business,
the businesses and stuff like that.
As best as I could at the time. I was just a driver at first, but picked up the business pretty quick and started helping her.
Was it a learning gap, or did you catch on natural?
I guess there was a gap at first. There's definitely that, like, once you learn your first route and kind of figure out how to do that, it kind of starts coming much easier. But actually, funny enough, me and my dad were talking about this today. Mm-hmm. Back when I had first started, the business was just totally differently structured as today. So, like, the route that I originally was running is now actually broke up into, like, 4 different routes now. Yeah. So, when I first learned that route, a lot of the shit that, like, people hate about happening to them happened to me. So, like,
break that down. What happened?
So the route I was covering was a pretty big route. It didn't have a high stop count, but it's because you drove a lot and you had pickups at 3. So I had to go down, kind of start up on Lee and Perkins, go down Perkins, hit any of the houses on Lee, hit the businesses on Lee, go down Burbank, hit all the apartments on Burbank to West Parker. Then I came back up Burbank, had to go down Wesley, hit all those businesses, go down to Nicholson, hit everything to the right of Nicholson, down to the Southgate Towers, come back up Nicholson.
Lee sucks.
Yeah.
Lee sucks.
Yep. Come back up Nicholson, go down Brightside, hit shit down Brightside all the way to Riverbend, come back up Riverbend, go down Nicholson, because I had, like, the Fetty Center and that there's a concrete pouring place out there that used to get stuff. Go down there all the way to Nicholson Lakes, come up Gardier, hit shit along Gardier, go down Burbank to the left, go and hit, like, the Seville, Pelican Lakes, and then had to go do pickups on Innovation, and then the rest of Burbank to Bluebonnet. So that was my original route, and I got 3 days of training on it.
You just jump right in, man.
And we didn't have the cool ass scanners we have now, where, like, it has the map either. Ours was just like a big ass brick. Like, it almost looks like whatever the fuck that is right there on your table, but fatter. And yeah.
Okay. Oh yeah.
And all it had was just the addresses. That's all it showed you on your screen, was addresses and the amount of packages. That's all you got from the scanner. And I basically, and then you got a paper manifest that basically showed you a bigger version of whatever was in your fucking handheld. And that was it. And shit was all out of order all the time. So if anything was out of order, there was no clicking and moving it like with our list nowadays. It was just out of order, and you could change on the paper manifest if you had a pen and all that shit. And so yeah, that's how I learned that big ass route after 3 days of training, because someone called off and he had to then go cover his route. And I had 3 o'clock pickups that I had to do. So on top of all that shit, I had to pick up at 3. I had 3 pickups I had to do. So I went through the ringer on my first, like, week, and I was pissed because I was
just jumping right on there like that.
So, like, that's why, like, when you hear me, like, people bitching about this is bullshit, this is so hard, I'm like, it's really not that hard. I promise you, it can get harder.
Like, I can guarantee it can get harder now. Okay.
So just, like, bear with me. I promise you, this is doable, because I've done much worse, and here I am now.
Hey, I ain't lying. You right, because that road me and Derek had, like, when I was jumping back to that route was
that was a fucking route, boy.
2-something every day. They don't really know, man.
Yeah, exactly. Like, that was different.
170 was a light day. 160, that was a light day.
Like, that was a whole different animal. Like, that's what people don't realize nowadays.
Nah.
And like I said, that wasn't with these nice, for me, the nice little handhelds with the map that tell you, and you can move it around and shit.
All these options and apps and all this.
We didn't have no turn-by-turn navigation, none of that. your GPS on your phone with your turn-by-turn navigation.
I still use the phone.
But at least the option's available.
Oh yeah. And you can still go on the map and list, see
exactly
what areas you got and what you need.
No color-coded dots for you, none of that.
Nah, you ain't gonna get lost. Nah.
So it was rough. Yeah, that was my experience. So, but once like going through that, and then it was honestly like a kind of almost unintentional going through the ranks. So I honestly just wanted to be a driver and just start off as a driver. And then it was her and this dude named Jake. He's who owned it before. Okay. And Jake was like working with her until she learned the ropes and kind of learned everything. It was going to kind of stay there for a long time because she was, paying the salary and all that stuff.
Oh, okay.
Well, Jake eventually wanted to get out of this and get a new job because people kept pulling off, the bullshit of work.
Yeah.
So he said, hey, yeah, I'm going to go get a different job at this plant. So my mom was like, all right, well, fuck, I need another manager to help me run this then. So she hired this driver named Calvin. He's a cool dude. He was doing it. But it was one of those, like, he was doing good, but had to learn things, and my mom was still learning things, so it was hard to teach the new manager the things she had just learned. So that was all happening.
It was a real learning curve with that.
Exactly. Okay. Coming from a driver to a manager, that's a big thing, having to learn all the routes and all that stuff. Because this is back when the company was like a whole thing. Technically, this company's been split and all that shit.
Yeah.
So anyway, so we had to learn every route that's on that belt originally.
Shit.
Yeah, and so doing that's hard. And having the time to do that in between call-offs and bigs, all the bullshit that goes on just from day to day, it was really hard to happen. And so I moved from that big-ass route, and then moved to this other hospital route, which used to have a little hospital area off Hennessy, and then you would go into the Perkins Road Park Row Mall area, and that was really the route. It was kind of a businessy, bulky kind of route.
Okay.
And that was my second route that I got on, which taught me a lot of shit, too. And then while I was doing that, I could kind of see that shit wasn't really like going how it was when Jake and my mom were doing it, when my mom and Calvin were doing it.
Okay.
And she had originally came to me when she needed the manager job and said, hey, do you want it? And I said, like, no, I know my one route, and I'm your son. I was like, yeah, that just looks bad. I was like, I do not want to be I don't want that mark on my back of the son who only knows one route, just barely starting, and then is now the manager going to be giving orders. I was like, thank you. I appreciate the offer, but I'm going to have to turn it down because I don't think that'll work out well for your drivers. Me coming in, learning one route, and then now I'm their boss, and I only know one route, and that's it.
So what made you change your mind?
Well, I got off that route. I got broken into like 2 or 3 routes, and I was like, all right, well, now I know 2 or 3 routes just by proxy. Okay. And then I learned that other route. I was like, so I knew about half the routes already. And at that point, Calvin had known about half the routes. And I was like, okay, just through being a driver, I've learned as much as him. I was like, so if you guys, like, I'd be willing to, take a little pay raise. You don't have to give me much more, just a little bit of a pay raise. And, I'll be a manager and kind of learn all the routes. And that's how I kind of started the managing thing, was with Calvin. And him and I did it for a while, and then he got offered a job with benefits. He'd been wanting benefits because he has, kids, family, all that stuff, grown man shit.
Yeah.
And my mom was like, I'm sorry, like, we would love to, but we don't have that type of money to do that. So he was given a job offer, and he actually originally turned it down because he just enjoyed working with us. And, we'd always help him out through stuff. And then my mom told him, like, no, if you got a job that's paying you more and can get you the benefits, go get that job. Like, thank you so much for being that loyal. Like, we appreciate it so much, but please go get that job. So he did. And then, so now it was, my mom and I kind of running shit for a while. And that was a fucking pain in my neck. And then that's how my dad.
I remember that. I remember that when he came through. Okay. And 3 y'all, the triangle, yeah. So that's dope though. That's dope. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it is really fun going out on the route with my dad though, and they always ask him the questions, and I'm like, I've actually been doing this job longer. I know the answer.
You know they gonna look at him as the most experienced person. Let me ask the older guy
all the time. And there's been times where he's like, I don't know, ask him. And I'm like, yeah, so man, and then I explained this shit, and he's just like moving the package, and I'm like, thank you. I was like, I'm sorry, dude.
He just said, I don't know, ask him.
Yeah.
He can explain a lot more better than that. Yeah. I'm gonna go grab this package right quick and
I'm gonna do my thing. I'm gonna do the thing I'm good at. He can do the other thing.
Hey, at least you know.
Yeah.
You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah, and that's always cool. Like I said, my dad, he ain't ever had that kind of ego thing about him, which is nice.
That's dope.
Yeah.
Okay, so I know you did a lot of moving around, so it's hard for you to pick a top 5. But I'm gonna ask you your top 5 artists. Period. It could be from whatever genre, from whatever.
Okay.
From a little kid or now.
All right.
Okay.
So any genre, just top 5 things.
Yeah, top 5.
Kind of like I would say, this would be like the things I would say gotta listen to, and people may not have listened to type shit. That's where I'll go with that. I would say that futuristic Devon Terrell duo that I was talking. Coast to Coast album. Mm-hmm. They kind of were a duo for a little bit. If that counts as 2, whatever. If it counts as 1, I prefer it to count as 1 because specifically that album I think is really good. They did some shit on their own, but I think that album when they came together is really when they fucking did their shit and knew what the fuck they was doing the best they could. So I'd recommend that. Mm-hmm. Probably also. Let's see. There's this one dude, he's more of an instrumental, but he's one of those dudes where his instrumentals have got him so popular that people just from other genres will kind of just hop on his instrumentals and make music with them. Okay. His name's FKJ. It's just abbreviations.
Okay.
But he has some really just nice, relaxing kind of instrumentals, but he has some songs where people will hop on. Like he has, I think, 2 with Bozzy.
He got songs and he makes his own instruments.
Yeah, he just makes his own little instrumentals that he'll drop, but then he'll have songs with other artists that'll hop on and sing with him and shit, or rap and stuff like that. Okay. He's got some good little shit, and like I said, I'm all about that. When it comes to music, I kind of like seeing technical skill and seeing rappers kind of take out of that hip hop typical element and then put on like a mellow beat with like piano and shit. I like seeing that. I don't know, like I said, it shows a certain level of understanding of just like music as a whole, and I think that's what you need as an artist, not just to be able to rhyme some shit onto a beat.
That's it, they rhyme.
Yeah,
these days, bro.
Yeah, so for me, music, it's really understanding it and being able to manipulate things. That really makes it important, or at least to me, and I think that's what makes you skill. A random little rock band that not too many people know kind of has some popular songs. Boston, pretty popular. Kind of, I believe they're considered progressive rock. Okay. But like I said, it's that same thing where the whole thing with progressive rock is it changes like time measures and signatures and tempos. So you have a song that starts off with something really weird or totally just like maybe like has more of a country sound to it, and then somehow it'll slowly transition to some sort of like rock, just pure rock song, and they'll just do it through these crazy just instrumental changes, or they'll have like one constant note key that they constant play in the background that they're then able to transition into more of a rock sounding through different distortions or whatever. And so they have some cool little songs. There's one called More Than a Feeling that a lot of people know. That's just a good song, and it kind of starts off with this almost like folky kind of rock song and then gets into like just a good little rock song. And then Foreplay Long Time, it starts off with almost like a weird piano electrical thing at first and then gets into a rock song that's like really upbeat and lifting. It's crazy.
So you're like universal with it. You just like whatever you can find the vibe and whatever that catches.
If I can rock to it and I think it sounds good, it can get listened to by me.
Okay.
Yeah, like there's even
open-minded with it, man.
Yeah, I mean I try to. Why not? Back to fucking try and listen to everything to get different views and angles. But yeah, so with music, that's how I am. I mean, even a little Spotify thing, that yearly review, it said I was a fucking genre nomad. I don't really have like one thing I really listen to. I jump around.
Mine's. Oh, but I think I see mine's trap beats, just trap,
exactly.
trap. Okay.
So yeah, no, I listen to all types of stuff. I mean, Melanie Martinez, she's like, I don't even know how to describe her genre.
Okay.
She's pretty fucking good. She's a female artist, and she kind of, like Billie Eilish's kind of song vibes and stuff like that. That kind of
I heard that name.
Hypnotic kind of haunting sound. She's pretty interesting, but she kind of does this almost interesting like childishness to her song, but with rather like adult themes and stuff like that. It's interesting to just listen to her, and she her voice is really like cool because she can hit these very high pitched notes and then suddenly just drop into these lower octaves. So I don't know, to have that voice control to me is insane.
And I'm not gonna stand out to that voice.
Yep. And it isn't like no disrespect to like Mariah Carey or anything like that, where it's like that soulful thing. It's like I said, it's a very almost like haunting, playful nursery rhyme type way of singing, but it works really, really well with how she does her musical instrumentation. And like I said, going back to what I was saying, I like when you do shit like that, where I can something I wouldn't just listen to and say, oh yeah, that's a song. I can make a song out of that. When I have that happen and I hear something like doesn't sound good, but then all of a sudden sounds good because they're able to add maybe this sound here and this sound here. That's understanding just music and sound and how it works on a level that like satisfies me.
Okay.
Another rap group, Earth Gang.
Yeah. I know.
You know Earth Gang?
Yeah. Derek put me on to know.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was about to say Derek might have fucking copied some shit from me. He
told me y'all had
somewhat similar some shit down when we were talking, because he introduced me, I think, to who was it? Fucking Collaborate.
Oh no, I haven't heard that one.
Oh, I think it was Collaborate.
Okay.
Anyway, not too sure. Anyway, he put me on him. That dude's a good little artist. So I showed him fucking Boogie, fucking
Westside Boogie.
Yeah.
He put me on to that.
Yeah. I put him on Westside Boogie. That was me.
I fuck with Boogie. Okay.
Yeah, man, Boogie's good, bro. And like
Boogie good.
So there's another one, Boogie. If you like, he's one of those dudes. Like I re-listened to his lyrics and I realized how
he can really sing and all that.
Yeah, and even dude, he's got some layers to his lyrics.
Yeah, that how he just flips the stuff, man.
Yeah, dude, like that's one of those things. Like goosebumps listening to some of his music.
I be bumping them and people be like, what you listen to? Kendrick? That's Kendrick. Like, nah, that ain't Kendrick. That ain't Kendrick.
No, that's Boogie.
Boogie.
Yep, and I remember, like, I introduced him to Boogie back when he was just Boogie. Like, he didn't have Westside Boogie at that time. He was just Boogie.
Oh, for real?
Yeah.
I thought it was all the way Westside Boogie.
No, as far as I know, like, when I first, like, looked him up, he was just called Boogie.
Man, I heard him a while ago, but didn't know I heard him a while ago. It was a song with him and two other people. It's like an older song, and I seen it again after hearing about Boogie and stuff. Like, man, that's Boogie right there. This whole time I knew this song, and that was Boogie on that verse the whole time. So okay, homie, dope. I'll give him that.
He good.
Yeah, I still listen.
I think he's with Shady Records. That's who signed him. Yeah, I think.
I know they go crazy. They be begging him for his albums online. When I be following them and stuff. They be all in the comments. He dropped the freestyles and stuff like that. Man, what album?
Yeah,
they really want his ass, but he really makes good music.
But yeah, and he, like I said, his rhymes are really well thought out and like they're layered. Like,
man, he got multiple stuff to talk about. It's not just the game banging stuff and all that.
That too. Yeah, I like to change up of topics. That's too, but yeah, like I said,
they're still thirsty and all this stuff.
Yeah, still thirsty. That little mixtape was good.
Yeah,
Jamaica.
Yeah, this is my car. This is my car.
My car. Hand me the ox.
Yeah, that's dope.
Yeah.
All right. So before we wrap it up, homie. Okay, is there a message? Anything you would like to leave for the youth, man? Any quote, any message, any game you like to drop?
I guess I got kind of two. I guess I would really say.
Do you think?
One thing would be when you're growing up and you're coming up with problems, and as things are going up, I promise you, it's you'll get through it. And if it's something that you're getting caught up on and you don't know how to get through it, find someone and talk to them, because I'm not saying your situation ain't unique, but someone can relate and they can help you out. And having that, foundation of people that are there to help you, they'll help you way, way, way down the line. Because that was something I never really did. I always kind of just tried to figure things out on my own, thought it was a problem I only had. And, sometimes it makes it hard for me to find and talk about shit because I never got that comfort. And getting that knowledge from other people, it goes far. And that's basically where that other piece comes in, is that old saying, the jack of all traits is a master of none. That's usually where people tend to cut it off, but the full saying is a jack of all trades is a master of none, but sometimes that is better than a master of one, which is kind of reinforcing what I was talking about with, talking to people. Don't get honed in on this one way of thinking, this one way of doing things. Try and learn other ways, different things that you can do, different approaches, different angles, because I guarantee you, if you put the right combination of angles and thought processes, you'll find something that somebody hasn't done, and it'll get you through a lot of shit that people think you can't get through. If you just really take that time and you just expand your knowledge and try and look at things from different ways and take the time to talk to people that are willing to talk to you, because I guarantee you there's people that want to help, it'll do a lot for you and get you far.